welcome you into spring. In London, we are really trying to decide if it's spring or not. But actually, we are literally into the nature cyclic pattern of spring. So welcome. And then to everyone else who's watching us, this is Pawan Mishra's book. It's called Living Hanuman, and we are doing the Shri Hanuman Chalisa Verse by verse. And today we are studying the verse 13. And like every day, Pawanji, I will just read through and then give it over to you. So the verse 13 is, Sahas badan tumharo jas gāvaiṁ, as kahi śrīpati kanth lagāvaiṁ. And there is an English meaning which says, every pore in my body sings songs of praises just for you. Overwhelmed, thus saying, Lord of Shri embraces you. And with every verse, you give an in-point meaning. And it says, I say words of praise to all around me. I see only the good in each one. That in-point is intense. I think that should be a morning affirmation. I'm going to look at good in everyone today. So over to you, Pawanji, if you could just speak about this verse a little bit for us.
So, Sahas badan tumharo jas gāvaiṁ, as kahi śrīpati kanth lagāvaiṁ. Simple meaning, Sahas badan, the whole body, the whole of me. Sahas badan tumharo jas gāvaiṁ, tumharo, yours, yes gāvaiṁ, sings praises. The whole body of mine sings praises for you. And as kahi śrīpati kanth lagāvaiṁ. Having said this, Śrīpati, who is Bhagwan Ram, embraced him. Kantha means the neck, so throat, took him to the throat. A tight hug, that you might say. That is the simple meaning of this verse. At another layer, when we talk of the whole body singing praises, the whole body, normally, as we were just speaking a while ago, we tend to do multitasking, and our attention is totally perforated and distributed. The whole of us is not present. Even mothers, the whole of a mother is not present with the child. The child is saying some story, the mother is also looking at the WhatsApp. When the child looks at the mother says, yeah, I'm listening, keep going. So Sahas badan, the whole of my body, without an exception of a single cell. Here, all the 70 trillion cells that make the human body, plus 10 times that, 700 trillion guest cells, bacteria, microbes, viruses who live in our body, all of them form our body. And that with that whole body, with the whole physical, mental, emotional, spiritual being, there is a fountain of praise arising out of that. A praise which is not only at the level of lip, thank you very much, that's a good job done. Not that kind of a praise, but something that involves the whole body. Teshtatnan says, have you smiled from your liver? Do you smile through your liver? The practice of whole body praise or whole body anything is a central message of the first part. Also, Sahas is interpreted as Sahastra. That means 1,000. So Sahas badan would mean a qualitative name of Bhagwan Ram, because it is Sahas badan tumharo jas gāvaiṁ. That means one with 1,000 body is singing your praise. Now, who is this one? Here, the identity of Ram is being revealed. As such, Ram is only a prince of Ayodhya in the forest, banished prince of Ayodhya in exile, walking around in the forest, whose wife has been abducted by a demon. But who is he? He is the 1,000-bodied. He's been addressed as Sahas badan. The famous hymn of Rigveda, known as the Purush Sukta, says, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Shahastraksha, Sahasrapada, that form of Purusha who has 1,000 hands, 1,000 feet, 1,000 heads, thus thousands body. That Sahasra Shirsha, Purusha, that Purusha is singing praises. So already we get also a clue to who Hanumanji is. Who could this supreme being, who is known as Param Purusha, the supreme being, who is he singing praises of? Who is that entity? Is it just a humble monkey, or is he somebody else? We'll see it in the next verse. But Sahas Badan Tumharo Jas Gaave is also giving away of the identity of Ram. And this identity is confirmed. As kahi, having said thus, śrīpati, the Lord, the Pati, husband of Shri Devi, Kanth lagāvaiṁ, has embraced you. Śrīpati is Ram. And who is Śrīpati? Vishnu himself. Shri Vishnu himself is Śrīpati. So twice over, the poet has hinted and confirmed at the identity of Bhagwan Ram here, saying that the Supreme Being has congealed himself, is congealed in the form, in the physical form of Ram. Sahaspadan tumharo jas gaave, as kahi śrīpati kanth lagāvaiṁ. And from śrīpati, then we go into another layer, which we are studying together, is the whole science, not only science, but the whole knowledge and tradition of sacred tradition of Shri Vidya. Shri Vidya. So Śrīpati would also mean one who is the sovereign of that knowledge, Shri Vidya. And it is actually the tradition of Shri Vidya originates, it is said, from the mouth of Bhagwan Vishnu. Bhagwan Vishnu revealed Shri Vidya to Rishi Agastya and his wife Lopamutra, who was also a Rishi. But that form of Bhagwan Vishnu is known as Hayagriva. Haya means horse, Griva means horse-headed. The horse-headed form of Vishnu, but he is Vishnu, nevertheless. And to that extent, he is also the sovereign of Shri Vidya, Bhagwan Vishnu. So there also an allusion to the fact that I have repeatedly said in the book that this whole text of Hanuman Chalisa is a text within the tradition of Shri Vidya. So this is what I would say. And I would again re-emphasize what the verse re-emphasizes is the power of praise. Power of praise that goes beyond the lips. It becomes manifested in your act, as in this case, embracing, physically hugging a person. Just saying I love you is not enough. Hugging a person, whether it is a janitor, whether it is whoever. And here, hugging is not so much, you have to look in the social context of what you are doing, but wherever it is possible, in the West, it is much easier. In Europe, in the continent, it is really acceptable to embrace a person whom you know at least socially. So hugging, embracing, and then through your whole being, out of your authentic, genuine self, say some words of praise. Lift the person up. Praise lifts a person up like nothing else.
Definitely, it's something that we must incorporate in everyday life. In this verse, you have also focused a very big part of it is focused on the Vishuddha chakra, which is the throat chakra, and you specifically have kind of dedicated a page to describe how when the praise comes in terms of from the throat to the words to the mouth, and how it is the vortex. So that's a very beautiful association that I personally did love, because it kind of associates in a practical sense. So we know what we have to do, but how it kind of internalizes in our body when we embody that thought or that action for that matter. So that's something that I loved. And I see that in this verse, you have quoted the Bible a lot. There is the part from Matthew 6.25 you have quoted, and there is the part which is the very famous saying from Bible, ask and thou shalt receive. That's also from the Matthew 7.7 part. So when I read through any verse before doing a class with you, I see that the symphony in terms of a very universal presence of not just Shri Hanuman ji, but mainly as how you associate simple breath practices or simple yogic practices or Ayurvedic practices that kind of just flow very easily into our everyday life. And in this, you have, in the yoga part of it, you have said the throat lock. And a while ago, I studied the Trimul Bandh, and I started doing it. And that includes, that's a part of this one. So extremely beneficial to do it early in the morning. And when I read it, I was reminded that I have not been doing it for a year. Before we close, just, in the in-journey questions, there was this beautiful question that I really, I could easily write an answer to this, but I would love you to just tell me what you do in that aspect. So it says, to my very own self, how can I demonstrate my gratitude to what I have received from the universe, including those events or people or things or conditions that are not pleasant? How can I make gratitude my very personal value or mantra, which I live each moment as I breathe? So I know that, in the little modernistic way, to be just honest, there is a lot of affirmations of gratitude that we all kind of, and also that in our book, the My Action Point always is like an affirmation. I have made a notebook of it. So every time I study a verse, there is one page that is dedicated to the simple My Action Points, which is an action point and also an affirmation. So I know that in the very modern sense of it, we practice a lot of affirmations, but how do you include the things that are not pleasant? So how do you change your visualization of that incident? How do you make that thing, how do you tend to become grateful for it?
Yes. So in that, within the Yoga Sutras, we study about the 5 most important or the 5 roots of suffering. And those 5 roots of suffering are ignorance, ego, out of ego, likes and dislikes, and of course, fear. So these are the 5 roots of suffering given in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali. So when you experience something which is unpleasant to you, it is basically your dislike. You don't want it, but it has come to you. And then there are things that you like, but they don't come to you. Both give you equal amount of pain. You like something, it doesn't come to you. You dislike something, it arrives into your life. The only way to get out of this situation of suffering a dislike is, Yoga Sutra says, practice pratipaksha bhava. Pratipaksha bhava means practice of the opposite. Pratipaksha means, paksh means what is stated. Pratipaksh means opposite of that paksha or opposite of that part. Now, so I will say that anything, so-and-so gave me so much of pain. Now the Pratipaksh is, that person did not give me any pain. Now, how can we say that to us? Simplest approach is, did I learn something from that? What could it be that through that pain, because we now know that pain is a great karmic cleanser. Happiness is not a cleanser. Happiness adds karma to us. Pain and suffering cleanses us if we direct it correctly. If we direct pain and suffering towards, suffering, it builds karma. If you direct pain towards learning and cleaning, it reduces karma. Pain is like a sharp scissor. So I will say, am I directing my pain towards my suffering, that unpleasant event in my life or experience? Or can I direct it towards and then it is such a great, That person has given me a knife to clean up some of my karma. Let me use that as a laser knife. So, and then also a compassion, because that person, whoever has given me hurt, does not know the whole of me. I also do not know the whole of that person, out of what mind, why that person chose to do this and that. So if we add a bit of compassion and we add a bit of forgiveness and pratipaksha bhava and forgiveness will remove any stain that any suffering has given it to you. This is my personal practice, I should say. And I think it works quite well. So anyone can practice it.
But definitely, when I do the in-journey questions, I realize that every person is going to have a different answer because we all come from different experiences. And which is why I actually found it quite easy to answer this question. But I knew that we do our classes, our regular Zoom classes where we all study. And you won't believe, no matter how much you tell in the class, there is something we do in this session that is still different from the class. So like you said, pratipaksha bhava, we have not covered that in our class. So I get to learn it in the first person way. So thank you so much. And the takeaway from this, my action point, the thing that we actually can apply in our everyday lives is to demonstrate my appreciation for others through my actions and behavior. Like you said, Thich Nhat Hanh said, smile from the liver. So I hope that we learn to appreciate and be grateful for everyone in our actions and also in our behavior. And with that, I will, thank you for every ounce of information that comes to us from you. And see you in the next verse. We'll be doing verse 14 and 15 together. So next one, see you soon. Take care.